Hi guys, how you doing? Thought I would mix things up a little bit today and come to St James's Park rather than the usual beat at the training ground. Sadly, with some bad news, which you'll have seen in the title of this video and also the thumbnail, and that is that Newcastle goalkeeper Nick Pope is facing around about 4 weeks on the sidelines after injuring himself in the defeat to Brentford last weekend. So it's been a bit of a strange one this morning because I just managed to discover that news just after this morning's press conference. Eddie Howe was asked about Nick Pope this morning on the back of Craig Hope putting something out about a slight concern over Pope yesterday. So Eddie was asked about it this morning, and he played it down and said that he'll be seeing a specialist later on this afternoon, and a decision will be made after that. But I quite quickly afterwards found out that either since seeing the specialist, or perhaps Eddie was maybe just being a little bit cute with the information he was handing over, that Pope actually has in fact been ruled out for the at least the next 4 weeks following that injury. So look, a huge blow to Newcastle, because he's without doubt the number one goalkeeper, and results and performances I think have improved since he's come back into the team. Obviously Martin Dubravka, as well as he's done for Newcastle, did struggle towards the end of last season, but mitigating for Dubravka is the fact that Newcastle are still conceding goals this season. It's not as though they've suddenly shut up shop and are keeping clean sheets all the time. That isn't the case. So look, huge blow that your number one goalkeeper is going to be missing for the next 4 weeks, and of course which is a really, really busy spell. Big cup tie against Brentford next week, a must-win match tomorrow here against Leicester, and also huge games round about the Christmas period, the likes of Aston Villa and Spurs as well. Pope is going to miss all of those, so really bad time for him to be out. I'm told that he suffered a knee injury last Saturday against Brentford during the game, saving a shot with his foot. His knee jarred a little bit. He didn't really feel anything too untoward at the time, and carried on playing. It was only the next morning when he woke up that his knee was swollen, and he realised he needed to get checked out. I'm told that he's had an injection in that knee to help with the swelling, and I think there's a relief from Newcastle that it isn't more serious, and because they managed to find out when they did the next morning due to the swelling, they've hopefully averted any further serious damage. So look, I know it sounds bad, but by all accounts it could have been worse. Ironically, I actually interviewed Nick Pope just a couple of weeks ago about his injury situation this time last year. You'll remember he injured his shoulder badly here in the win against Manchester United right at the end, and it kept him out until the end of the season. I think he played the very last game against Brentford, but it kept him out for months afterwards, 5-6 months. And Nick said to me, look, it was a really, really difficult time for him because he's got young kids and he wasn't able to do anything, couldn't cut up his food, couldn't make the bed. It was really difficult to shower because you've got your arm tied up essentially in a splint, and he just kind of painted this picture of how difficult it was having to ask his family to do everything for him, and obviously not being able to help his teammates on the pitch in what was a testing time for Newcastle towards the end of last season. So he felt like he'd just got over that, and he was saying to me, that's exactly a year. I'm in such a different and better place now, given the fact that the injury is cleared up. And I got the impression the way he was speaking, it was probably the most testing time of his career. And then here we go, 2 weeks later, and he's injured his knee now. Now thankfully it's not as serious as the shoulder problem, but the last thing I suppose Newcastle needed after the news that Callum Wilson is out for the next 8 weeks, and Eddie Howe confirmed that news at his press conference this morning. Look, just saying he really, really feels for him because he's gone the extra mile. He said he's spent money out of his own pocket, going to see specialists of his own choice, travelling out with the UK to try and get specialist treatment, and spending a significant amount of time away from his family as he tried to get back on the pitch. So you have to feel for Wilson. It's I know he's receiving a lot of criticism here, and a lot of people saying, he should have been sold earlier. I think that's another argument. Perhaps, maybe there should have been a decision made at an earlier stage. But for him as an individual, he just wants to play for Newcastle. He wants to score goals, and you would imagine, well, he said it himself in his Instagram post, he's more upset and more frustrated than anyone else, because he wants to be out there showing what he can do. But you'd have to say there is question marks what he can now bring between now and the end of his Newcastle career, because of course his contract, as we all know, is up at the end of the season. So how much football has he got left in him by the time he returns mid-February? At the earliest, you would suggest. So not good news out of the press conference this morning. He did say that Joe Willock has a chance of playing, but caveated that by saying he hasn't actually trained all week. So I don't know whether that's just a kind of message to Leicester to say, look, he's not going to play. I don't know if Eddie's just trying to confuse people, but that sounded a bit strange. But it sounds like there's a chance of him being involved. You'd be surprised if he starts that game tomorrow. But obviously the news that Pope not playing is the big one, and you would think Dubravka is probably likely to come in and play. I know Vlachodimos has been a few shouts for him, and look, he's done some decent stuff for his international team Greece, but I feel Eddie Howe probably trusts Martin Dubravka more, and you also have to bear in mind that Vlachodimos's arrival in the summer wasn't really one that Eddie Howe was looking to sign. It was a necessity. Newcastle signed him because they had to, as part of the Elliot Anderson deal, and I think it's important to remember that in any of these situations, that he wasn't a player Newcastle have signed because they needed or wanted a goalkeeper. They signed him because they had to, and Forest basically said to them, look, we want Elliot Anderson, we'll sign him from you, we'll pay 35 million for him, but you need to take Vlachodimos in the other direction, and Newcastle had to pay for him as well. So a difficult situation it was that for Newcastle, but that would suggest to me that it's more likely that Dubravka will start the game tomorrow. Also from Eddie today, some stuff on January. I asked him a question about the Wilson situation and the fact that the results are so inconsistent. I asked him, will that make you look at January a little bit different? Does that mean that you need to sign someone in January? And yet again he underlined it and said, look, we would love to sign players, but sadly it's not dictated to by what we want, it's dictated by PSR. And he kind of pretty much said that, look, if we are going to bring someone in, or more than one, we need to trade, we need to sell. And he kind of hinted at that last week as well, but he went a little bit stronger on it this time around. So it sounds to me like someone's going to have to go for Newcastle to bring someone in January, and that's where they are with PSR. I'll hear a lot of you will be saying, well, hang on, how come they weren't selling in the summer when they tried to sign Mark Gahey and made a bid of 65-70 million pound? I think it's because it was a different accounting period, and the way the rules go, going into January, they would need to sell. Now Newcastle had money to spend in the summer because they'd obviously brought that money in from the sales of Minte and Anderson. So confusing situation. Don't know if I fully understand it myself, but that is what Eddie Howe is suggesting. And again, not good reading for you guys. On a positive note, I spent last night here at the stadium speaking to Anthony Gordon, who surprised the Newcastle United Disabled Association's Christmas party by popping in to spend some time with him. And I have to say, it was a really humbling evening, and I thought Anthony Gordon was excellent. He spent 2 hours with the disabled supporters, going round introducing himself, speaking to every single one of them, posing for photographs, signing autographs, having a laugh and a joke, and just sharing some special moments with them. It was lovely to see. And during that visit, he did an interview with me where I asked him a bit about his future and what's been said and the speculation around that move to Liverpool in the summer and stuff. And he pretty much said, look, I'm here to stay. I've never said that I wanted to go. I'm committed to Newcastle. I just want to be left alone to play my football. But caveated that by saying, I've used that word a few times today. Caveated that by saying that the speculation, the reports, the the talk about his future and where he's going to be playing next season, this season, he says it's affected his performances. He said it's kind of got in his head a little bit, and it's kind of held him back, which I was surprised. He was very honest and open for him to say that, but surprised given the amount of work he does on himself sort of mentally away from the football pitch. But clearly it's had his effect on him, and as a result of that, his performances, he says, have been inconsistent like the rest of the team. And he said, look, I need to look at myself as much as anyone else does, and I just need to get over this. Essentially saying he needs to get out of this little rut that him and the team are in, where they can turn up against Liverpool here at St James's Park and then not turn up away to Brentford or Crystal Palace or whoever it may be. Let's hope that Leicester tomorrow isn't another one of those performances, because if ever Newcastle needed a win, you would say it's tomorrow against Leicester. And with, you know, a big cup game coming up on Wednesday night, I think it's really, really important you get a win tomorrow. Also, these games, Brentford, Leicester, Brentford, Ipswich, they're must-win games. You can't, if you're going to do anything at all this season, you need to win these games. If you're losing or dropping points or getting knocked out of cup ties in these games, this season's just a waste of space. So anyway, that's it from me today, guys. Sorry to bring you the bad news about Nick Pope. Wrote that news just about half an hour or so ago, but yeah, that's it. So Pope and Wilson out, not good times at the moment. Batten down the hatches into Christmas and see if you can pick up some results, because results will kind of change everything, and a win tomorrow I think will make everyone feel a little bit better about things. Alright guys, leave your comments below. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.